Alright, hello everyone. Hi, how are you? This is Kei. And today is the 3rd of June 2023 on Saturday. So I hope you're having a great weekend today. So yeah, how are you everyone? Great to see you again. So finally I'm fully recovered from flu. So I feel so fresh and feel very good today. Yeah, I really think that the health is the most important. If I'm unwell, then I don't feel like trading because I may be making some wrong decisions or I may be losing the focus in trading. So whenever I feel down or I feel sick, I don't usually take trades. So today I will share my performance in the month of May, and I will share the spreadsheet and also share my trades. So my question to you is, how was your trade performance in the month of May? Was it profitable or loss or break even? I actually posted the poll on the chat in this live stream. So if you are in the mobile or PC or tablet, you can open the chat and vote so that I can see the ratio between the loss and the win in the month of May. And also, if you are in the chat, let me know how was the impression in the month of May. Was it difficult to trade or was it easy to trade? Was it difficult to look for entry, or was it difficult to choose the right pair? Or did you see some fake breakouts? Or the market was choppy, tricky? So any impressions if you have, please let me know in the chat. Or if you watch this archive, please leave your impression in the comment box below. I will also like to see that. So I will also share my trade performance in the month of May and also my impression of that month. So yeah, let me change screen. Okay, so let me say hi to everyone first until I see more joiners, viewers today. Okay, Christopher, thanks for joining. Good to see you. Alright, he says, because your valuable lesson, I didn't overtrade this month and was profitable. Thank you. Oh, that's great. You're welcome. So yeah, never overtrade is also one of the keys, I think, to success. Because I used to overtrade. I used to take like 30 trades, 40 trades per month, which was too much because I wanted to be aggressive, especially after I quit my full-time job. I was so excited to be a full-time trader, and I was looking for the opportunity every day, all day, and I was overtrading. So yeah, I think first you can experience the overtrading habit, and then you can cut down the number of trades and be more selective on which one to trade, and also wait for the best opportunities with patience. I think that will be the next step, at least based on my experience. So if you take less trades, less number of trades, but make profits, that's the way you should go. At least for me, that was my style. So, and I really like that style because I have more free time when I'm not in the trade, and I feel so relaxed than always looking for the opportunities every time I open charts. So that's the psychology part actually. Okay, hello John, good to see you. And Mad Maniac, thanks for joining as well. Alright, Django, good to see you. Rain and Win, thank you for joining as well. James, also good to see you. Alright, Kevin and Arcades, good to see you too. Thanks so much for joining. Alright, Kevin, good to see you. Alright. Okay, James says all losses and break-evens. Okay. Okay, Django says very difficult. I'm gonna make a break until September. Okay. Yeah, I think that's also important. Like when you feel when you get the losses in the month of May or in the whole month, then you can actually check the, you can actually wait for the next opportunity. But at the same time, you can leave chart and you can away from the market, maybe a couple of weeks or couple of months, because markets are moving every day, every week, every month anyways, with or without you. So whenever you get ready again, psychologically or emotionally, you can start to take trades again. So that's a very important. Yeah, I think one of the biggest tricks is that the market's moving every day. So you may misunderstand that you have opportunities every day, but actually it's not true. So that's important. I used to do that too. Like I was over trading 30-40 trades per day, and I got the losses for 3-4 months constantly after becoming full-time trader. So that was very stressful. And then I took my break. And after I took my break and came back to the chart, I have some new ideas and new ways to look at the markets, and it actually improved my performance very much. So it's always nice to take some breaks whenever you feel stressed or feel emotional on your trades. Okay, hello Arahas, thank you for joining, good to see you again. Thank you very much for joining today's live. Okay, Gifang, good to see you too. Okay, so how was your performance in the month of May? How was it? Okay, Matt says, for me the month of May was normal. I expect that you were sick. Right, that was right. Yeah, I was very much sick, and I couldn't really trade that actively. Although I saw some trending markets, I couldn't actively trade. So that was not a regret, but that was my situation in the month of May. If I wasn't sick, then I will be taking more trades and maybe making more profits. Okay. Alright, Django again, thank you for joining. Robert, good to see you too. He says, I was profitable in the month of May. Okay. Alright, Wee, good to see you. Mike Keru, good to see you too. And Son Lam, thank you for joining also. And Photo, good to see you. Okay, so now I have a good number of viewers now, so let me start to share my performance in the month of May. So before I move on, I just wanted to say that I share my monthly performance not to show off, of course, but for you to learn. So my advice is not to compare your result with mine or others. We have to trade on each trader basis. So we are all in different time zones and different situations, different lifestyle, and different everything, different psychology too. So first thing you have to remember is never compare the result with others. You just have to compare the result with yourself. You can compare the result in the month of April or in the month of 2023, or even last year, the same month of May. You compare the result and look for the patterns for the winning and losing, and you continue to improve your trades. So now let me share my spreadsheet. Okay, so here is my trades, and overall I got the win rate of 58.33%, and I got the PF of 4.24, and R multiple 3.08, and return was 3.8%. So it was not a big profit, but I got the 3.8% return, which is, I think, a little bit less than for the last 2 years in the month of May when I look back. But it's okay because again, I was on holiday trip. I was out of Dubai in the mid of May and I got the flu, so I wasn't able to actively trade. But still, I didn't lose, so it was totally fine with me. So I took total of 6 trades. So 6 trades looks to be very small number of trades because I have been selective on which one to trade. And my overall impression was that in early May, I didn't see lots of opportunities. And after 18th of May, or after 12th, I would say, after the mid-May, we start to see some new trends. Maybe you notice the same. We start to see some trends on the JPY pairs, like USD-JPY. If you look at the trading view and click on the USD-JPY, for example, May started here, and this is May 1st, and until May 12th, the market has been ranging, and then after this, after 12th, the market started to be up, and USD-JPY was a nice uptrend after this, and also Pound JPY was similar. This is 1st May, and this is the 15th May, and from 17th May and onwards, the market went up gradually. But here are so many dojis, so the market was very tricky near the resistance. But I think JPY pairs are like this. CAD JPY was also trending up on 17th and 18th of May. So my overall impression is the market JPY pairs first started to be trending in the mid-May. And then also some new trends on AUD pairs. So AUD USD went down, broke the support in 24th and 25th. And AUD CAD also has been down in 24th and 25th and 30th and 31st in May. And also EuroCAD just became down on the 31st and in this week, 1st and 2nd of June. And also Euro Pound has been downtrending on the 5th of May and 9th of May. But as you can see, for example, on this pair, the market went down, but only one day. This is a daily time frame. So only on these single days, the market went down and then flat, and down and then flat. So I would say that the markets were a bit choppy, and there were some trends, but it wasn't really continuous. Was my impression in the month of May. So yeah, and again, I took only 6 trades because I was out of Dubai between 10th and 17th, and I got the flu after that, so I only took the trade on the 18th, but I wasn't feeling well. I somehow managed to take trade, but I got the loss, which was okay. It was on the USD-JPY, but I was pretty confident, and I saw some nice setup, so I took the trade anyways. And by looking back, I got the losses on USD-JPY and also AUD-USD. These are 2 pairs. And then I got one break-even trade on the Euro Pound, and the others are wins. But as you can see, this column is the profit in pips, profit and loss in pips. And the most profit I took was on Euro USD, 31 pips times 2, because every time I enter trades, I take 2 entries, 2 positions, and 2 stop losses. So I took the trade at the same time and exited at the same time on this one. And Euro USD was the biggest profit, but still 31 pips only. So it wasn't really big as compared to other months. And also the loss. The biggest loss I had was on AUD USD. I got minus 10 pips times 2. So overall, I couldn't capture the big trends and big profits in pips. So that's why my return was not that much. But this is a reality, and as long as I don't lose, that's just fine with me so far. So yeah, so that's my overall trades. So yeah, I'm not sure how many trades you took in the month of May, but if you over traded in month of May, then you may be in the losses, especially when the markets are ranging like this. If you took some trades, then you may be making a few pips, maybe 10-20 pips might be possible by scalping, but you may not be able to capture some big pips. So again, the month of May has been a bit choppy and trends were very small, was my impression. So yeah, so my loss, in terms of my loss, I got the max loss of 10 pips and average loss in 6 pips. So this is how I manage my losses. I make the losses small as possible, so that it actually captures, once I capture some profits, it covers my small losses. So I have some drawdowns, but future profits covers the small drawdowns is my strategy. So if I were able to trade between 12th and 18th, and also 18th to 24th, then I may be making more profits. But I did check charts, but I couldn't see a good setup. I couldn't find the right entry timings. So simply I didn't take any trades. Yeah. So that was my impression in the month of May. Okay, so now let me check some more comments. Okay, G-Funk says, May started with losses for me. In the beginning of May, my account was down 15%. But in the last 2 weeks, I managed to recover my losses and profit 10 pips. Okay, so that's very good. You cover the losses and eventually turn the losses to win profits. Yeah, so that's good. I wonder if you change the strategy, or if you keep using the same strategy and recover the losses. If you didn't change the strategy and recover losses, and that's great. Okay, let's see. Hi Kei, I have doubt. Can we invest in another country bank online without going that country? I'm not really sure about that. If you can ask me some trading or Forex topics, that would be great. Yeah, and I don't want to mention about anything about some countries and banks in other countries, because I think the regulations and rules should be different. So I don't want to mention that. Past Play says, good evening, just wanted to say hi. I have classes online. I wish I could stay longer. Sure. Even if you have to leave, you can check archive, because all my live streams are saved on the archive, so you can always replay and look back. So how was your impression in the month of May? If you can type, that would be great. You can mention like how many trades you took and the ending result. Okay, PF says on January 13th you posted a video in which you talk about your new strategy. How is that strategy going? Yeah, the new strategy is going well, and actually I'm ready to do it in the months of July and August. Is the new strategy also trend following? Yeah, that's also trend following. Right. Okay, Dokong says, when you scalp, which time do you use the most? I don't scalp. So, yeah, I can't answer that question. I always look for the trending market and follow it. But if I were to scalp, then I will choose 5 or 15 minute time frames. Because 15 and 5 minute time frames are my entry time frames and exit time frames. So if I were to scalp, I would choose those time frames. Okay, so now let me share some of my entries. So let me first share how I made the win on Euro USD, my second trade on 12th of May. I have actually the link here, and when I click it, I can share the screenshot, and I think this way it might be easier for everyone to review my trades. So this is how I took the trade. Oops, hold on. Looks like it's a bit blurry, so let me refresh. Okay, there we go. So this is the Euro USD trade, and I took an entry. So let me explain how I take entry and exit with a profit. I had a question of how to trail the profits on yesterday's live stream from someone. So you can see that example here. So this is one of my entries on Euro USD, and I took entry here because the market was downtrending. So I follow trend. So if higher time frames are downtrending, that's when I look for an entry timings. So that's how I enter trade. So there was a slight breakout of the previous inside bar. So this is called inside, engulfing inside bar breakout, which is one of my entry confirmations. So I do use the candlestick patterns too. So if I zoom in, you see this big blue bearish bar, high and low, was including the next candlestick, next white bullish candlestick, and then 2 candles after it broke towards the major direction. And this is important. It breaks towards the major direction. So that's something I take as my entry confirmation. And also in terms of the indicators, I use the Bollinger Bands. So you can see that I have Bollinger Bands. So this indicator is called the Bollinger Bands, and I use the deviations 1 and 2. So whenever I see the prices are moving between deviations 1 and 2, that's called the band walking, and I take that also as one of my entry confirmations. Technically in this case, the price was below the deviation 2, but still it's okay. I can still take that as my entry confirmation. So that's, and also in terms of the indicator, I also use the stochastic. In terms of stochastic, the stochastic has been my favorite, and I used to use RSI and MACD also, but for me, stochastic worked really well in my experience, and I have confidence to use the stochastic, and simply that's why I choose stochastic. I used to use like a RSI with Bollinger Bands, maybe you haven't used it before, or RSI divergence, or some other oscillators, indicators. But after trying so many oscillators, I found stochastic works best. So I use that still nowadays as one of my entry confirmations. But it's actually up to traders. If RSI feels better to you or MACD feels better to you, then you should stick them. I simply use stochastic as one of my entry indicators. So I took the dead cross of the stochastic, and that was also my entry confirmation. So, and whenever I take entry, I put the stop loss. In this case, I put the stop loss above high. There was a pullback over here, so I took the stop loss up here and 27 pips, which is reasonable for me. If the stop loss is, let's say, like 60 pips, 70 pips, that would be too wide for me, and I don't take entry in that condition. But 27 pips is okay. This is not too tight, but not too big, so I take that for the stop loss. And after my entry, I monitor chart until I set break even. And as I mentioned on this arrow, this is exactly where I put the break even line. So as I monitor chart, the market initially went down and then started to be ranging. And this wave, you know how this wave is called? If you are the Ichimoku member, then you may know it. And this, when I see this wave, I be very careful. Carefully monitor the chart. You know, this type of wave, the higher highs and lower low pattern. As I monitor chart, and when I see this wave on 5 minute, then I was getting ready to exit the trade. But then eventually the market went down towards major direction, my direction, and then finally I set break even here. So this is the break even timing. So I don't set break even just because the market goes my direction. I wait for the confirmation for the reasonable breakout for my break even timing. So you know how this wave is called in Ichimoku? Yeah, Maniac, that's right. This is called Y wave, right? Y wave. You know, whenever you see Y wave, let's say you are here on the market, when you're looking for some entries, I recommend you don't enter trade because Y wave becomes really tricky. So wait for the Y wave breakout bearish and take sell. Most likely it works, like in this example. Whether this is 5 minute or 1 hour or the daily, I don't prefer to enter trade in the Y wave. But in this particular trade, I was already in the trade before the Y wave here. So I was waiting for the Y wave breakout bearish and then set break even. Well, technically this wasn't the Y wave break, this was the breakout of the most recent low on M5, and then I set break even. But the market may have retraced and hit my break even and exited with the break even. It may happen too. So yeah, so that was also a possible scenario to happen. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking in my psychology. And along the way down, after I said break even, fortunately the market went down towards my direction, so I kept staying away from the market. So this is also my style, is that after I set break even, I simply leave chart for a couple of hours. Because even if the market retraces and hit break even line, I don't lose. So I can be safe, I can feel safe and leave chart completely. Oh, and to those who are new to my channel, you may wonder what is break-even line. And break-even line is where I move the stop loss below my positions. So I manually move the stop losses below my position, and this is called the break-even line. So that you can move the stop losses manually, and the market may retrace, but you don't lose. And even if the market goes up all the way, but you don't lose because you exited with a break even. So this is also very important with my strategy. Before, I wasn't having an idea of the break even, and simply after I enter trade and stop loss, I was fixing my stop loss. I didn't really move the stop loss before, and I set the TP, usually like a 1:2 or 1:3 risk and reward ratio, and set TP down here somewhere. But sometimes the market didn't hit the TP and then reverse and hit the stop loss. And I was wondering how to minimize the loss, and realized that I can move the stop losses manually, either up or down. And I developed the strategy to move the stop losses below the positions. So that's called a break-even line in my strategy. So if you haven't tried yet, you can try the break-even strategy and how you feel about that. Okay, so that's when I set break even, and after I set break even, again I leave chart for a couple of hours. And this was when I was about to sleep. I set break even, so simply I left the chart, and you see this was on the 12th of May, and this was on Friday. If I can remember, it was Friday. Yeah, Friday. And Monday, when the market opened, it was on this candlestick. You see some small gap on the 5 minutes. So this is when the market opened on Monday. And then I was sleeping still, and then the market just kept ranging and ranging, and then I woke up somewhere here. And after I woke up in the morning, I found high time frame became flat. So high time frame means either daily chart or the 4-hour chart. I found high time frame became flat when I wake up in the morning, because usually it's the next day. So usually high time frame goes flat. So I saw high time frame went flat, and then M5 started to be bullish against my direction. So I exited my trade manually here. So I mentioned my exit reasons like this, band walk and stochastic gold cross and W bottom neckline breakout. But to make long story short, I found the reverse signal on 5 minutes. So I exit my trade manually. Okay, so that's how I exited my trade with a profit of this one, 31 pips of profit on Euro USD. So, and eventually, this is my also logic of my trades, is that this part became the tail of the fish, and this part became the head of the fish. This is the head of the fish. Okay, head. And this part was a body part. So I don't take the head or the tail, but I take the body part only. And I found that this is the safest way to keep going and make profits. So this is also very important logic or philosophy on my strategy. So when I enter trade, this is also my psychology, but when I enter trade, I would never know how far the market goes towards my direction. I have no idea every time. And I don't expect the profits every time. But rather, I expect the losses more than the profits. And that's why I know when to exit my trade. If the market retraces, and then I would exit around here. Even before the market hits the stop loss, I would exit here around. That I'm sure, because I can manage on my own. I can manage my exit timing on my own. Simply, close the trades manually here. But when it comes to the trending markets, I can't control. So I simply follow as long as it goes. So in this particular example, the market happened to retrace and exited here, so that's why this part became the tail. But if the market continued to be bearish after this, then I don't exit, but I keep following the trend. And then once the market reverses, I exit. So the body part in that case will extend to here. And then this part became the tail of the fish, for example. So whenever I enter trade, I don't set TP because of this reason. If I manage the losses correctly, then once I start to make profits, then not only it covers the previous small losses, but also I can feel safer in psychology. And I think that's the most important. So I'd say exit timings are more important than entries, but at the same time, exit timings are more difficult than entries in psychological perspective. But anyways, that's how I took my trade and exited my trades here. So yeah, so every time I enter trade, I don't expect some profits, but if the market happened to go towards my direction, then I follow it and take profits. So this is very important with my strategy in terms of the mindset or the philosophy. And also, this is also my strategy is that I look for an entry timings, of course, to avoid the fake signals. That's why I look for at least three entry signals. But also, I know when to exit my trade once the market starts to reverse. And that's also the reason why I look for an entry timings. So I used to think that entry timings are to expect the profits, but I realized that it's more on the exit timings with the losses, so that I know when to really exit the trades with the losses. So entry and exit strategies should be put together at the same time. And again, once the market starts to go your direction, then simply trial and follow with no questions, because it's going down towards the direction, so you keep following until they start to reverse, and then exit your trade manually. So that is my trend follow strategy. And this strategy is something I built my own, and I never learned this strategy from someone. I built it my own. So psychologically, it may be difficult to understand. So, and I think it's a bit difficult to follow for some people, I think. Because usually, you look for an entry timings to make profits, to expect profits, but mine is a bit opposite in that sense. Okay, so that was my Euro USD trade, which was my profit. And then also let me introduce my losses. So let's take a look at the AUD USD, and I took 10 pips of loss. So let me explain how I took that loss. So let me open the screenshot. Okay, so here is my entry and exit with the loss. So I enter trade here because I was seeing downtrend in higher time frames. So I took the entry sell and I took the stop loss of 21 pips because it's reasonable to put it here because this is a swing high on 5-minute time frame. Yeah, and then after my entry, the market initially went down, but soon started to retrace. And it didn't really go towards my direction. If it started to go down again, then of course I follow downtrend and set break even and start to trail profits. But instead it started to reverse. So my exit timing was here. So again, this was my stop loss, but most of the time I exit before the price hit the stop loss, so that my drawdowns kept very small in this way. So with my strategy, I take 2% to stop loss. So if you haven't calculated the risk per trade in the month of June, you can start to do it. I take 2% of my account to stop loss. So every time you see this spreadsheet, you can see the risk column. The risk here is my 1%, and I take 2%. Hold on, where was okay, here. So I take 2% to stop loss, and I take 2 trades and 2 stop losses. So that means I take 1% times 2. 1% risk times 2. That's what I take trade. And as a total, it becomes 2% if the market reverses to my stop loss. So that means if I exit around here, that means my drawdown will be 1%, because this is 0.5 times 2. I hope that makes sense. 0.5 times 2 equals 1% around. I take the loss here. So that's why in the spreadsheet you see the drawdown is, in this case, was 0.43 times 2 was my exit. Technically it wasn't really that much because this is in a spreadsheet, but just for the reference, I never take drawdowns of more than 1%. As you can see here, 0.8% drawdown. But here again, in terms of the exit timing, so I enter trade here because of the this again band walking was one of my entry confirmations, and dead cross was my second entry confirmation. And then I took also, you see there are 2 dojis, 2 pin bars, and then the breakout. So I was trusting this doji resistance. And if the doji resistance was broken, I was going to exit my trade. And it did. So exited my trades manually here. So like this, I check the indicators and I check the reasons for entries and which support resistance are trustable when I enter trade. And when they are violated, that's when I exit my trade. So that is my exit strategy. So for me, entry and exit are like two wheels on the bicycle. I can't have only entry strategy, or I can't only have exit strategy, but these two has to be connected and reasonably and logically be in place. So that's why in most of the cases, whenever the market starts to go against my direction, before the price hit the stop loss, I can exit manually and have a small drawdowns. And after this, and also this, I took the sell when it was downtrending, but because of this reverse and also gold cross stochastic and violation of these two dojis, and then there's also a pin bar breakout, and next candlestick may be a band walking too. You see, so as I mentioned before, the trend starts from the lower time frames, but it follows high time frame directions. So when I see this invalidation of my entries, reasons, that means this might be the reverse of the whole market direction. And the market may go up after this. So whenever I see the hint of reverse in the lower time frame, that's when I exit my trade manually. And I don't let the market run until it hits a stop loss, because I don't want to lose 2% every time I enter trades. So that's my exit logic with a loss. So in that sense, someone asked me, do you scalp? And my answer is, I scalp in my exit timings, but when it comes to trading profits, I follow in a major direction, and I'm more like a day to swing trader. So that's why every time I exit very small losses, it becomes my scalping, and I can save my drawdowns. But still, every time I enter trades, that's the trending market based on my analysis. High and mid time frames are trending, and I look for 3 entry confirmations every time I enter trades. But still, even so, there are cases where the market reverses, and then I exit very quickly. But once the market starts to go towards my direction, because I'm following the trending market by Ichimoku, I can expect bigger reward than these small losses is my philosophy. And based on my backtesting, it has been working very well, and that's why I'm using that strategy for now. So until I built the strategy, it took me almost like 3 years. But ever since, every year, in yearly basis, I have been able to not only make profits, but I will be safe in psychology. So I can keep going. So whether you use my strategy or your own strategy, the risk management is the key to success. And that's for sure, because risk management and psychology management are closely related. And entries are actually not so much related to psychology, in my opinion. But because whenever I enter trades, you have opportunity, you look for opportunities, and you look for signals, reasons to enter trade, and that part is okay. But the real problem happens when the market starts to reverse against you, and the question is when to exit your trades with a loss. So especially the exit timings has to be logical and rational and objective. If you exit every time with your emotion, then you get stress, and yeah, you may lose your how to say, like, you may lose your motivation to trade anymore. So especially exit timing should be logical, is my advice also. Because before, when I was newbie, I was simply exiting because, okay, looks like the market is reversing back and I see the breakout of the support, so why don't exit? And then the market started to go down again, and I got frustrated very much when it happens. And this may happen to you also, and this may happen to me too. So after I exit here, the market may go down again. It happens to me also. But now I don't feel emotion because I exited my trade with my logics behind. So I'm confident that my exit timing was at the right timing. And simply when the market starts to go down again, I can re-enter the market. I look for the reasons to trade and simply re-enter the market and see how it goes. But so again, the exit timing should be very logical. Don't exit by emotion is also my advice to everyone. Okay, so that was my exit example in the month of May. Okay, so alright, let me check some comments. Oh, I do see lots of comments, so let me check. Kevin says, how many pips are the maximum that you should set the stop loss? I would say 40 pips. I mean, it doesn't have to be like fixed pips of the stop loss as max. As long as it's reasonable, that's fine. But make sure you don't put too big stop loss. For example, for me, 60 pips would be too wide. But again, at the same time, if let's say I find only one pair trending, and if 60 pips of stop loss looks reasonable, I may take the trade also. So it depends on the situation of the other markets. It depends on your confidence on your trades too. And the reason I prefer to put the stop losses smaller is because so that I can go with bigger lot size. If this is 21 pips and same 2% risk per trade, then let's say if I enter trade with a 10 lot, for example, but if I take 42 pips, for example, sorry, hold on, let me cancel the comment. If I take 41 pips of stop loss for 42 pips of stop loss, for example, and same risk 2% to stop loss, then my lot size will be half, 5 lot. So I take the same risk percent 2%, but I change the lot size to make it 2% to stop loss. So that means if I take with the smaller stop loss, then I can go with the bigger lot size, so that once the market goes towards my direction, I make more profits. And that's the reason why I prefer smaller stop loss. But the stop loss should be at the reasonable place. Never, just because you want to go with a bigger lot size, never take the stop losses too small. So that's the logic behind on my stop loss strategy. Just for your information. I hope that makes sense also to everyone. So I think my strategy is, I think, kind of unique. So it may take time for everyone to understand. But if you got these logics, and if you take the hint on your strategy, then I think you can still improve your trades with this risk management. Okay, Alexander says, no trades on May for time. Can you please share the setup for one of those winning trades? Oh, and I already did. Yeah, today I shared one winning trade and one losing trade. Okay, did you ever change any of your KTS major rules? No, I don't. I didn't. I keep the same strategy. Well, I might not change sometimes. For example, the stop loss pips I may change. Before, I was using the stop losses between 15, I would say 15 pips are still okay. But nowadays, since the market has been very volatile, I prefer to take more than 20 pips of stop loss. So I minor change the strategy, but in the bigger picture, I don't change. Okay, John says, do you also take consideration on the volume of the pair to confirm a fake out or trend? No, I don't. I don't check volumes in Forex trades. Emily says, hi Kei, assume monthly, weekly, and the daily are okay. Can you put the trade in 4 hours without considering the smaller time frames? Yes, you can. Yeah, that's possible. In that case, that will be the swing trade. You follow the monthly or the weekly trends and take entries on the 4 hour. In Forex, it might be difficult because you hardly see the trends on the weekly time frames, but in the stock market or other markets, maybe index or commodities, it may be possible. Okay, so let me try to cover questions from different viewers. Okay, Timothy says, Kei-san, will you set similar range of stop loss on different pair or even different market, like gold or Nasdaq, for example? In different pairs, yes. Well, actually for me, Swiss franc pairs are a bit more volatile, more spiky, so you may not be able to. But in gold, Nasdaq, you need bigger stop loss. Okay. Jun says, you can't control how much you win, but you can control how much you lose. That's exactly correct. You get the idea. Yes, I'm glad you got the idea now. So that's why we have to focus on the things you can control, the things you are able to control. The things you aren't able to control, just forget about it. So how many pips you make, you can't control. But how many pips you lose, you can control, you are able to control. So if you master the things you can control, then you can control the things you can't control too, is my philosophy. I mean, control may be not the right word. If you control the things you're able to control, then you can expect more stable result in the future, in the long run. Okay, I'm sorry I have so many questions and comments, but I have to end the live. So after I finish the live stream, I will enjoy the comments. But thank you very much for the comments and also your participation as always. I love these comments to read because I can feel that you are very serious in learning based on my strategy, based on what I share, and I really like that because it's really productive, and it's also for me to learn from your comments and from your questions. So actually it's for both ways. So let's continue to be productive on these live streams and what I share, and I hope you continue to learn not only from me but also from any sources, and never stop the improvements. Then should be fine. So after this, there will be an Ichimoku membership live, and today I will share the philosophy from Ichimoku books, and today I will share the essence of the P wave and Y wave and how Goichi Hoso was introducing those strategies. So if you are the Ichimoku member, then I will see you soon. You can find the link in the Discord to join. And for those who are public joining, I will see you tomorrow on the weekly forecast. So again, thank you very much for joining, and I hope you have a great weekend. and see you soon. Until then, please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay gold. Bye for now, everyone. またね. Thank you very much.